YouTube was good. It's your boy Jody Joe. Welcome to Jody's Corner. This is going to be a movie review for that film that I just got to finish seeing, that you guys wanted me to freaking see, that you've been reminding me over and over and over to see. I have other films to watch. Other films have been watched. Reviews haven't been done yet. But this one is that Fight Club, bruh. Oh my God. This is going to be a discussion. Fight Club. I've never seen it. This is my first time reviewing this joint. Brad Pitt, Edward Norton, a lot of other people. So it's only these two. So it's a story about a guy who works at an insurance company, car manufacturing, blah, 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 blah. Everyday schmuck, waste of life, blue collar motherfreaker who decides that he's going to make a change in his life. He questioned his life, and he's a depressed, lonely, sad person who got so low, so lonely, so sad that he started to go to AA meetings. He started to go to drug abuse meetings. He started to go to cancer meetings, venereal disease meetings. I mean, this dude was surrounding himself with the depressed and most saddest of the sad people in order for him to get some sense of satisfaction and overall sleep. A lot of this movie happens. Insomnia is a motherfreaker. He couldn't sleep, and he came up with this remedy to help himself sleep. So, and in my opinion, I could be way off on a lot of this. I only seen it one time. I didn't rewatch it, but I just think that this movie is very much about him being affected by insomnia and his own mental psychopathy, that he came into contact with a man on a plane on his trip from city to city. And this one particular person that he said he speaks to, he says he always speaks to like a throwaway person, on the plane. And it makes me just think that none of them people were real, because this one particular person, Brad Pitt, who I think his name is Tyler, he sells soap. And once he got introduced to this man on this plane, his life was never, ever the same. Shit went straight wild, bro. He got back home to his condominium that was blown up. And instantly, as soon as I seen his condo blown up, I was like, okay, Brad Pitt blew up his condo, because he was talking about soap and talking about explosives and stuff like that. So I was like, okay. So to me, this is where I was at this moment. Brad Pitt is a crazy, no rules, bro type of dude, and he sees this square on the plane, and he's like, man, I'm about to change your life. You wasting life, bro. Let me blow up your condo to help you out. And they do these amazing things together. They go have a drink. They drink 3 pitchers of beer. They're outside the bar, and he's like, yo, man. And I love the Tyler character, by the way. I love Brad Pitt's character. I think he's batshit crazy too, and I could never live that life. I wouldn't even be friends with him in the real world, to be honest with you. I just couldn't. But seeing him, he's so entertaining, man. To see the type of the way he just lives his life. This movie is freaking crazy, man. What the freak? So anyway, they're outside of this bar, and he's just like, how have you if you can ever put yourself if you haven't fought? Like, you want to fight? Like, you just pick the fight when they just start punching each other. There's this blurred, can't explain it, but it was kind of explained enough by Brad Pitt, by Tyler. It was explained enough by him for me to understand, like, there is this sense of understanding when you're just fighting someone. So shout out to the UFC. This was big before the UFC was really big. So this Fight Club thing could have sparked the UFC, even though I know UFC existed as something else. But it wasn't nowhere near as popular. People didn't know or care about it. Let's keep it a buck. But Fight Club was like the UFC before the UFC was the UFC. So here these two men are fighting, beating up each other, and the people come outside like looking at them like, yeah, so y'all fighting, huh? And it's like, in that scene, I'm like, wow, this film has no rules. This film has no real structure. It just could do anything at any time. I was very entertained by it. And they get to doing more shit. He takes him to his house. He calls him on the payphone. He calls back. Yeah, I never answer calls. Well, I was just now thinking about the payphone scene. Well, maybe. Nah, never. Anyway, so he still never answers calls. They call back. He takes him to the house. The house is this disgusting, filthy, nasty, underwater, barely any electricity having. Walls got holes. I'm sure they got rats and roaches. Didn't show rats and roaches, but that motherfucker got rats and roaches. So I'm seeing this house and I'm looking at how dirty and filthy they're living, and I'm just like, you nasty white motherfreakers. What the freak? I could see some dopehead, crackhead, sherm heads living like this. But Brad Pitt looking like this don't make sense. What is this? And somehow this movie is so good with its storytelling and just it let me know early that this film's crazy. So I just 10 minutes after seeing this house that I was appalled at, it became just part of the world, and I was perfectly fine with it. And that's the message it was trying to deliver. Like, when you engage in a thrilling event like fighting someone, blood gushing, your blood's pumping, tensions and passions, you tune everything else out around you. Even to when you go into the real world, nothing really matters. And that's the point they were trying to say here. Like, once you've experienced like being able to just be a fighter and unruly like that, what's the real world? And it grew to this cult. It grew into a legitimate cult of other followers, and just seeing it spread like that, I was way off on that trailer. This movie is something that I've never seen before. I never would have saw this coming. This is a completely original film. I love it. I gotta be honest. I absolutely love this movie. It got really crazy. It got real preposterous, but still somehow okay. And it got to the point where this become this terrorist organization. The man, there's so many scenes. He driving on the road, crashes into a car just to be on. They have these followers, bro, that are funny and scary. And it's just crazy to see how something so small. It reminds me of like Jody's Corner, like our family. Like, we could really rise up and do some shit, bro. All it takes is people to just believe in the cause and really roll with that shit. Like, this real movement we're on, like, bro, we could take this shit to the next level. Man, it just organically, bro, oh my God. When the cops came, when he realized that he wasn't himself and he tried to tell on himself about the bombs, and the one cop walked out and the other three cops says, I totally respect you, dude, for this. And they told me you say that. And he said, we got to cut your balls off. No, what? They told me that you say that too. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? It's just crazy. And then all the way into the big thing, right? What's the big thing? You guys were talking about it. Tyler wasn't real, but he was real. Tyler wasn't real, but he was real. He just wasn't who I thought he was. And I caught on to it before the reveal. I did. But once it started to kind of like I caught on to it like 5 minutes before the reveal in the film. I was like, this motherfucker's imagining this shit. Is he imagining? It's the girlfriend. It's the freaking girlfriend. I'm like, it was messy too. This is the only real messy part for me. Like, it's the clever part and it's the most messiest part, because the girlfriend's in the house. You want her around. Girl's getting her cheeks plowed out. She goes and she comes, but never do they both, in my mind, never do they both talk to her at the same time. Tyler and fake Tyler and no girl. It's like there's a scene where he was in the basement looking up the stairs, and then he goes in the basement. Then Brad Pitt leaves the basement, and like they're never really just having that moment together. And I'm like, this doesn't seem right. To get a girl out of your house, why is he not speaking on her in front of you? You know what I mean? And that's the genius of it, but it's also the sloppy part. because the genius of it is, well, because that motherfucker's fake. He ain't real. That's the genius. The sloppy part is because I noticed it. You know what I'm saying? It didn't feel natural. Didn't feel normal. Anybody who doesn't want this, he would have walked up to Brad Pitt and said, yo, man, why you messing with this girl? Get up out of here. Why does she keep coming back? Why you inviting her? You say you don't like her. Why you got her? So that was the messy part. And I would say that's the only messy part, man. I hated her. And that's the genius of this movie. I hated the girl because she wouldn't go away. But then when I found out the reveal that he was crazy, I instantly forgave the girl because it wasn't her. It was a totally different perspective that was kept from me. And I just love that, man. That's so rewarding to me as a cinema fan to know that you could just string me along in your story and keep me guessing and not knowing, or me completely thinking I'm watching one thing, and then all it takes is a couple of scenes for me to completely look at everything that I watched totally differently. And that's exactly why film is awesome. And that's exactly why this movie is awesome. I could go on for days about this Fight Club movie. There are so many crazy scenes. Stay, get off the porch. You're a waste of life. Get off my porch. 2 days later. Still out here? You still out here? Nah, get your butt back. You ain't worth this shit. All right, get in the house. Bro, seeing it grow like that, seeing the cult, they remind me of someone. Release the Snyder cult. Seeing this cult so intense, and then having the Fight Club under the bar, and then this mafia boss dude, yo, what y'all doing in here? And that was geniusly handled. Let him beat him up, and then please, bled all over him. Freaking keep it. It's just this movie felt long, and I don't know if it was. Look, I feel like this movie was 2.5 hours. It felt like a solid 2.5 hour film. But to be honest with you, I never checked the runtime. I don't know if it was 2 hours. It could be that this film is only an hour and a half long, but all that stress and anxiety of me watching this movie probably made it feel like 2.5 hours. I don't know. I'm pretty sure y'all will put the timestamps in the chat of how long this movie is. Let me see, any details? No details there. So yeah, Fight Club is an amazing original movie. Shout out to David Fincher, starring Brad Pitt and Edward Norton, 2 really good actors. And just when you found out that he wasn't real, and you just think of all the scenes, I could imagine that this film has an incredible amount of rewatch value. In fact, I'm gonna watch it again, and probably again, just so I could rewind and see if those scenes make more and more sense, to see if there's more things that I might have missed that alluded to him being batshit crazy, talking to himself. You know what I'm saying? Making this character up. And just to know that all those fights that he had between themselves, it was only him. You see on the security camera, he's dragging himself. He's throwing himself downstairs, bruh. What? And that ending. Let's talk about that ending. So the buildings collapse at this big, huge moment of pure, just epic craziness, which really fit really well. Reminds me of the Django house blowing up at the end, but this is much more satisfying simply because of all the stuff that led up to it. Even more than Django and Steven getting his shit wrecked. So the ending is like, okay, so everything, Edward Norton comes up with this, he feels like, I'm back, everything's going to be okay now. Like because he shot himself in the neck, and because he took control, he took power away from the actual, from Brad Pitt personality, and he says, the gun's not really in your hand, it's in my hand. And then you look, it's out of Brad Pitt's hand, and then he had the gun, and he started, in that moment is when he saw, yes, I know that I'm crazy, but maybe I can control it. That was him taking his power back, and Brad saw that he didn't have the gun no more, Tyler, and he said, all right, so what? He realized that was a power play. Even though the bombs went off, Edward Norton's character, he took the power back, and I guess it implied that he can control himself from now on. He went through the insanity and came out correct on the other side, like manageable on the other side. Like it took all that for him to beat that. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't really matter because, bruh, police are coming for you. You're probably going to get shot in 5 minutes after this movie's over. His life is done, son. It's a wrap. So it's a good ending. It's a happy ending because he kind of got control back, but it's going to be sad because we know he's going to go to prison for the rest of his life or the police are going to cap him up, and that's game. But either way, it doesn't change the way I feel about this movie. This is a really good film in my opinion, and I would give Fight Club the grade that it deserves, and that grade is... A- for your boy Jody Joe. Let me know if you guys like this review. So much detail that I didn't talk about because I need to rewatch and watch again, and now we can have discussions. So thank you guys so very much for recommending this Fight Club to your boy, man. I appreciate you. Put down in the comment section what you guys think, and subscribe to the channel for more of that real content. Thank you, members. Thank you, donators. Thank you, overall supporters. I'm Jody Joe, and I'm out this thing, man. Deuces.